everybody. So today I'm actually gonna practice a little thing called the four golden points. This is specifically in the white cream system. These are fundamentals in the sense that, well, only they do make up a part of a lot of southern styles and a lot of southern systems, but mostly within the white cream systems. Um, like even the four major ones. I believe it's ancestral. There's feeding. There's whooping or like uh, the noise making crane. That's when they're going that type of crane. And I think there's one also for a jumping crane as well. So those are the major ones. But let's go with the four golden points. And the four golden points is trying to denote the idea of like four sectors, four gates. So you have within a certain framework or frame, you have four particular golden points. You have your upper right, upper left. Well, to probably be like upper right is gonna be here, upper left is gonna be here. But like in my particular point of view. So upper right, upper left, downward right, downward left. And of course you have your mid, which the center line right here, this is the neutral. You usually always want to protect this area. But let's just go with the four golden points. The first one is actually going to be hitting the upper quadrants. So the upper right and upper left right here. So this one they call it Shang, which is basically upper open repelling, upper open repelling. That one in particular, it's very, very key of what you see upper crane, because they're basically trying to open you up, but also enter the gate and also protect their particular gate as well. So going from here, one right here. So I'm going to do it really slowly. What you're actually seeing is that I'm doing it in a side view, and I'm doing it in a frontal view. I'm actually going to this particular quadrant right here, my upper left quadrant. So, and then afterwards, when I actually do a shift and I actually use a rotating using the waist, crane likes using the waist a lot because, well, southern styles, if you're on a boat, you can't necessarily use your legs a lot. You have to actually use your waist to be able to actually make certain movement and shifts. This is also the rotational type of power as well. So, going from here, I'm going to go underneath, cover, outwards, and repel to my other quadrant. So this is, as a practice, it goes from underneath here, cover, repel. Underneath, cover, repel. See that? Let's go to the other side. Underneath, cover, repel. Underneath, cover, repel. So this is if you actually want to train the more of what you call the Jing manifestation of it. Now, there is a shortened version where it's closer towards the actual usage of combat, is that you shorten it up. They use what they call the mother-son particular hand. Very, very similar. You see in a lot of southern styles, they use the mother and son hand, basically. Even a mother protects the son, son protects the mother. That's what they usually have it as that. So, this is just basically shortened up so that you can actually use it. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is going to be, so we have repelling, now we're going to have covering. So if I remember the correct term is basically Shang Gai, which is basically upper neutralizing covering. So Shang Gai is basically going to be from, in your particular stance or so, or like with the white crane, you're assuming that there's going to be an attack of coming in one of your quadrants or so. Let's just assume that it's going to come to this particular quadrant, my left side here. So from here, this is where the other hand basically responds. The mother basically comes to the aid of the son. Going from here upwards, intercept it with the and kind of make a slight connection and bridge, and then cover here. Over, intercept, cover. And now it's basically assumed that this an attack comes from your right side. Okay, that's fine. Cover here, 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 here. You notice how there is a covering component to it? You go to reach out towards the target, you cover the target. Reach out towards the target, cover the target. Reach, neutralize, cover. Neutralize it, cover it. Neutralize it, cover it. Neutralize it, cover it. It's very similar to what they consider in Bagua. They have it called a piercing palm, or and the Wing Chun circles, they basically call this a tan sao. Tan sao, and then I guess you could say that you change it into a bu sao type of motion. So tan into bu, tan into bu, tan into bu. But this in particular is just used specifically for neutralizing, covering. I mean, it kind of also leads the way into setting up for other applications. So just a few more reps, and then we move on to the third one and fourth. So going from here, 1, 2, back. Right now, I'm actually just mostly covering my center line here, but you can have it so in a way that it's actually done so that you're covering the other side as well. It does allow you to be able to actually cover like cross body. So making an X, you can do that, but of course there's practicing in a triangle body, just to practice the Jing manifestation of it. So there's that aspect. And of course, the much shorter mother and son type of cover. The other one can actually use as a way to gold and neutralize in the beginning, making almost like a cutting circular type of manner. Here, and then here. Here, and then here. Here, here, here. Here, here, here. Okay? Let's move on to the third one. The third particular 4 golden points, which is basically, if I remember correctly, downwards of or Shun, and I'm gonna have to look up the particular Chinese term, but all I remember in the English translation was downwards, follow through, or following, and carrying. So it's an odd translation, but when you see it, it will actually make a lot of sense. But it's pretty much downwards, following through, but also there's a certain idea of there's a carry. This in particular, the third one actually protects the lower half of the left to right. So the previous 2 basically gets the upper, this one gets the lower. Lower pretty much now we're going go cross body. Cross body, it's very similar to what you see in Dai Bong in the Wing Chun circles. Very similar. But in this particular sense, you're covering in particular one side. You you can say that you're trying to protect your center. You're covering from the center line, and you're also trying to cut and from the other quadrant, your opposite quadrant from your hand or shoulder arm. So in this particular manner and area, there are a lot of applications to be actually use this. You can actually use this in a way that, assuming that some aspect of downwards attack or anything, right? You could use this as a way to basically jam somebody. So it's aside from protecting your gates, especially from the lower regions, it does have offensive capabilities. To the side here. All right. Next up is the last golden point. The last golden point, it has to entail about hooking, or basically kind of, they call it downwards hooking leading. Downwards hooking leading, that's the Chinese translation of it. And this one in particular is used, I see it a lot in specifically as the downward version of upwards repelling, but just downwards. It leads the way to a lot of traps, chin-na, etc., etc., etc. It could be used offensively, but I don't really see it as a way to basically use it as offense. It's more of a way to basically open up another person, or sometimes be able to have a chance to be able to actually disarm somebody, or not disarm, but just put them in a trap. In particular, especially since White Crane likes to actually have whatever force or line force that comes to them, they actually don't want to be able to face you head on. The White Crane isn't like a very strong big animal. It tends to be more intelligent, but when it does hit you, it does hurt, but it just is really intelligent about it. And instead of facing you face and center on, it's gonna move to the side to be able to actually attack you. So if I'm gonna be able to use this one in particular, I'm gonna actually use this type of motion. Going from here, so there is a certain motion of kind of like an arc, like almost like a turning and arcing and cutting from here. Cutting, but also there's a hooking aspect, especially around this particular area. So this right here, the other hand, of course, is always to be like principle of mother and son, but also at the same time can use as a way to, just in case something bad goes wrong, you have this one here as a backup and the spare. So now when that's basically the 4 golden points. So let's have a quick review. So we have upwards opening repelling. So it's going to be this one. And then next up we have basically upwards covering, or neutralizing covering. Going from here, Alright, so that's the first two. Then the third one is going to be, in particular, going to be downwards follow carry. Very similar to a Dai Bong in the Wing Chun circles. then finally have the fourth one, which is basically going to be downwards hooking and leading. I mean, and from then, once you get these four fundamentals, you can actually mix and match and actually use them. And in general, you usually want to have a partner to be able to actually practice this. There are some two-man drills in particular about the four golden points that can be used specifically to help defend and learn about your gates, gate coverages, knowing about how to be able to actually make some bridging applications, and in particular, learn how to basically make sure that you don't get hit. That's the most important thing, especially in the martial arts. I mean, of course, it's going to be hard to not always get hit, but in general, when you learn a martial art, you try not to get hit. I mean, unless there's a martial art that's specifically like, your Kung Fu is about getting hit and being able to, I don't know, be Superman or something. But for a style like White Crane and a lot of the Southern styles, Southern people tend to be a lot more shorter. We don't have big frames and a lot more stock gear. So if we get hit, it really sucks. But other than that, hope you enjoyed this one, and hopefully you learned a little cool thing from Southern White Crane.